So you've been working out intensely, putting in the time, seeing the results. But then you put on a t-shirt and the sleeves are just a little too long. And all of a sudden, it looks like you don't even lift. That's right, I'm talking about the dreaded bicep gap. Myself, I used to suffer from this problem severely. However, over the past couple of years, I've been doing some techniques that have actually helped me fill in this gap significantly. And in this video, I'm gonna share with you those techniques and secrets. But you gotta focus. First of all, I want to share with you some instant quick fixes that can significantly help hold your ego over while we're working on those longer term fixes to actually help fill in the gap. Now, those two quick fixes are going to be, number one, it should be obvious, just get a smaller t-shirt. That's right, get that schmedium. Before you buy that new t-shirt at Kohl's, maybe go to the changing room and check it out, and make sure the sleeves, very important, regardless which way your arm is turned, will not cover up your entire bicep. At least some of the bicep is still showing. And for crying out loud, don't go to Kohl's without a coupon, right? Everything's always on sale. Tip number two to help you get through life as you're working on filling in this gap, which might take a little bit of time, is remember this acronym, ABP. Always be pronating. And when I'm talking about pronating, I'm talking about the wrist. Pronating means turning the palm so it's facing downwards. Okay, if I'm supinating, it means the palm's up like that. Without getting too science, the bicep tendon actually connects to the radius, and when I turn my arm like this, it pulls that tendon a little bit further away, lengthening the bicep appearance. So when I go to point at something, you'll notice, look at, the bicep looks a lot longer than if I was supinating. You see, when I supinate, the bicep actually comes back a little bit. And now there is, yes, still a little bit of a gap that I have, but let me tell you something, guys. This gap, I used to be able to put my whole hand in there, but I've done a few of these techniques over the past couple of years, and it really helped fill in that gap to where now I basically can only put like 2 of my fingers in there. And now I'm gonna share those techniques with you. So first and foremost, I have to acknowledge this. I've heard some crazy things back in the day where it's like, yeah, stretch your arm out like this. That'll help lengthen the bicep tendon and make your bicep appear longer. Or do super full range of motion movements where you dislocate that elbow and stretch that bicep out. Unfortunately, based on the science and based on my experience from actually trying these things, that didn't really work. Now, according to the math, why this doesn't really work is because genetically you're born with where your bicep tendon is inserted, and you can't really change with where that insertion is in the forearm. So you can stretch your bicep all you want, it'll become more flexible, but unfortunately you're not going to be really able to make your bicep all of a sudden change its attachment point. So how are you going to fill in this gap then? Well, you're actually going to fill in this gap not by working the biceps so much, but by filling in the gap with other forearm muscles right here. As you can see, this one right there. Now, back in the day, I used to do a ton of just bicep curls and underhand pull-ups because I was good at those. And this forearm muscle that's right here, which is essentially the brachioradialis, wasn't even there, leaving me with this huge gap. Now, once I kind of got my mind wrapped around this and switched to doing more overhand pull-ups, I immediately noticed within a couple of weeks, my bicep gap was significantly reducing because I was developing this forearm muscle right here from doing those overhand pull-ups. Now, there are actually plenty of exercises that help target this muscle group besides the overhand pull-up, such as the hammer curl or the reverse curl that can really target this muscle group on the forearm right here and really help fill in that bicep gap. So anything where you're pronating, turning the palms down, and flexing the elbow, you know, even just a seated row, bent over row, is gonna somewhat help target that forearm muscle, brachioradialis, as well as the brachialis and all those other little forearm muscles on the top here that can help fill in the bicep gap. It's nothing rocket science, guys. Literally, if you're not doing this already, maybe just add in 3 sets of 8 to 12 into your workout regimen, depending on how well you're recovering. Now, that's not completely it. We're not done, folks. There's still some more you can do. And one thing that's often overlooked when it comes to filling in this bicep gap or taking care of this portion of the arm here is focusing on the underside. You see, we're all genetically slightly a little bit different, and we all have different insertions and whatnot. And if you're someone like me who may have shorter biceps, but whose triceps are actually inserted pretty much all the way down here. Then by also working your triceps as well, it can help make this portion down here appear thicker. So if your bicep ever does go back up above the sleeve, at least it will be a little bit more thick looking down there. And obviously you shouldn't be neglecting the triceps either way. So how to work the triceps could be anything as simple as any pushing movement that helps activate the triceps, push-ups, bench press, dumbbell press, or any simple tricep isolation exercise, tricep pushdowns, tricep rope pull downs, machine, etc. Anything to help grow and strengthen the tricep. One more important thing I want to say also is don't neglect training the bicep just because I said ABP, always be pronating. You can still train the bicep doing normal curls, doing underhand pull-ups, etc., because something also you should know that's important and that I've actually realized is if you train and grow the bicep, why yes, according to the scientists out there, you can't change the attachment point of the tendon, yada, yada, yada. So when you flex the biceps, always going to be, it's going to be according to the study on Oxford. Okay, but what I've realized and seen firsthand, is that when you actually do put enough mass on the bicep and actually grow it, not necessarily when you're flexing it, but when you're in that alpha male relaxed position, sitting maybe on a chair or desk, and your arms are relaxed outwards, your bicep actually, if it has enough mass, will fall down almost, kind of like the weight of it. It's so big, falls down and almost like fills in the gap just by the look of it. It's like, dude, that guy's arms are huge, and he might even have short bicep insertions, but it's filling up the whole space because there's so much mass. So don't neglect the bicep, all right? So recap, in conclusion, most importantly, to help grow and fix and fill in that gap over time, you want to be ABP, always be pronating, doing pronating exercises where you are flexing the elbow to help grow those forearm muscles right here and fill in the gap this way, okay? Other than that, some of those other quick fixes, tricks, techniques, and other things I talked about can help reduce the appearance of that bicep gap as well. Remember, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how big your bicep gap is, okay? I don't think anybody really cares. You want to get a milkshake? But if you wanted to know how I resolve this problem for myself, I hope these tips in this video can help you all out. Don't forget to subscribe and turn those notifications on if you're looking for a bodyweight training program that has a ton of overhand pull-ups, as well as a bunch of other forms of pull-ups in it that can help build your arms, build that strength with your body weight. Check out my 12-week calisthenics program, Bodyweight Beast 2.0, on onlykindsfitness.com. I've been getting a lot of great feedback on that. I want to thank you all so much. Peace. I will see you all in the next video.